Yo, what up guys, it's your boy Legendary here, and today people, we're going to be doing a new video idea where I take Pokemons and turn them into Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I posted on my community tab that I wanted to start a new archetype called the Pokemon archetype, where like I said, I take Pokemons and turn them into Yu-Gi-Oh cards and make them into their own archetype. So, and everybody seemed to like it, everybody liked the idea, I didn't get any dislikes or anything, nobody, everybody seemed to be interested, the people who did comment on it, so yeah. That's pretty much it. So we're gonna get started on this brand new idea, but first, before I tell you guys some new Pokemons and stuff like that, I want to talk to you guys about the evolution summon mechanic. So I created a new mechanic specifically for Pokemons, obviously because you know that they evolve in the TV show and the games and stuff like that, so I wanted to incorporate that into this new archetype. So there's a new summoning mechanic called evolution summoning, so I'm gonna get into the rules of that right now. An evolution summon is a kind of built-in special summon like contact fusion, XC summon, pendulum summon, synchro summon, or the special summon of a monster like Blackluster Soldier Envo at the beginning, therefore it does not start a chain. During their main phase, the turn player can evolution summon a Pokemon from their hand by vertically placing the Pokemon they are evolution summoning on top of the monster that is needed to summon it. So basically think of it like XC summoning, where you overlay the materials on top of each other. And think of it similar to that. The monsters that is placed underneath the evolution summon Pokemon are neither treated as monsters nor treated as being on the field, so they are not affected by a card like Dimensional Fissure. So just like Xyz monsters, the Xyz materials aren't actually technically on the field anymore. So just like if you evolve Charmander into Charmeleon, Charmander stays underneath Charmeleon, but Charmander is not considered to be on the field, so you can't target it with effects or anything like that. It's not technically on the field anymore, but it didn't hit the graveyard either. So it's just like Xyz monsters, so think of it like that. Next, if an evolution summoned Pokemon leaves the field or otherwise ceases to be a monster, the monster placed underneath it are sent to the graveyard. So obviously if Charmeleon is sent to the graveyard, then Charmander that is underneath it would go to the graveyard as well. Or if you take my Charmeleon with Destiny Hero Plasma, for example, and equipped my monster to your monster, then you would take my Charmeleon as a spell trap card, but my Charmander would be sent to the graveyard, and that's pretty much how that works. And then finally, if an evolution summoned Pokemon is flipped face down, the monsters that are placed underneath it remain there. So just like Xyz monsters, if you Book of Moon an Xyz monster, that monster gets set face down, but the materials still stay underneath it. So the same rule will apply for these evolution summoned monsters. Okay, so next up we're going to be talking about this brand new stat that I added onto every single Pokemon, which is called the HP stat. So I wanted to add elements of Pokemon into it, where in Pokemon, if you attack a Pokemon, it doesn't die on the first hit like it does in Yu-Gi-Oh! I wanted it to represent Pokemon a little bit better, so now every Pokemon will have an HP stat, and depending on how much HP it has, it determines how many hits it can take. But anyway, let's just get into the mechanics of the HP stat. So first off, a Pokemon cannot be destroyed unless it loses all of its HP. That seems pretty obvious and straightforward. Number two, a Pokemon that loses its HP through battle is treated as if it were destroyed by battle. So if you lose all your HP and you took away my last HP by killing me by battle, it's treated as if it were destroyed by battle, even though it's technically being destroyed by a ruling effect, but it's being destroyed by battle. The same goes for a Pokemon that loses its HP through card effect. Is treated as if it were destroyed by card effect, so the same effect applies. So if it's killed by battle, it's treated as if it were destroyed by battle. If it's destroyed by card effect, it's treated as if it were destroyed by card effect. I know that seems obvious, but some people might end up getting confused by that and be like, oh well, it's technically not being destroyed by battle, it's being destroyed by a ruling, because when it loses HP, it gets destroyed automatically. So people might get confused and think that that means that it's being popped by a card effect or something like that. No, if it got killed by battle, if it lost its HP by a battle, then it's being treated as by battle. If it lost its HP by a card effect, then it's being treated as being destroyed by a card effect. So that's how that works, just in case if anyone gets confused with that or is unsure. Number four, the HP of a Pokemon that is destroyed and sent to the graveyard returns back to its original HP while it's in the graveyard. So as we'll get on into the future rules, you'll see that the HP does stack as you continue to evolve your Pokemon, but once that Pokemon gets sent to the graveyard, it just goes back to its original base HP that's actually on the card. Number 5, the HP of a Pokemon that is returned to the hand remains the same as it was on the field. So if you have a Pokemon on the field that has like 3 or more whatever HP on the field and it got stacked through evolution summoning or through other effects, if it gets returned back to the hand, it still keeps all of that HP while it's in the hand. So then when you re-normal summon it or re-summon it onto the field, it still has that same HP. That ruling might change in the future if it ends up being too strong, but for now that's how it is. Next up, the original HP of a Pokemon that is evolution summoned becomes the combined HP of the Pokemon that was used to summon it and that monster. So you have Charmander, Charmander has 1 HP, then you evolution summon Charmeleon from your hand by using Charmander. Charmeleon has 1 HP, Charmander has 1 HP, you combine both of their HP together. Now Charmeleon's original HP while on the field is 2. So it needs to be killed twice in order to actually be sent to the graveyard. So that's how that works, it stacks it. So if you evolve it into Charizard, Charizard has 1 HP, so if you go from Charmander to Charmeleon to Charizard, Charizard will have 3 HP because they all stack on top of each other. And then finally, the HP of a Pokemon that is sent to the graveyard or returned to the deck returns to its original HP before it was evolution summoned or special summoned by a card effect. So if you evolution summon all the way to Charizard, then Charizard gets sent to the graveyard through some sort of card effect or whatever. It'll just return back to, like I said, its normal HP. So it'll be back to 1 HP, the way it's supposed to be. Or if the monster's returned back to the deck, it goes back to its original HP. It doesn't keep it. It's only if it gets returned back to the hand that it keeps the HP. But if it gets sent to the graveyard or if it goes back to the deck, then it goes back to its original HP before any of the stacking. And that's pretty much it. So I hope those rules are clear enough and you guys understand how this evolution summon thing works and how the HP mechanic stat works on the Pokemon. Okay, so next up we're going to be talking about the new status counters, which is basically the status conditions in Pokemon like burn, paralysis, being frozen, sleeping, and poison. So these are all the status counters. So I wanted to implement those mechanics into the game. So some of the Pokemons will place some of these type of counters onto an opponent's Pokemon. So there'll be burn counters, paralysis counters, frozen counter, sleep counter, and poison counters. So I'm going to explain to you guys what each of those counters do in the Yu-Gi-Oh version of this game. So if a monster is placed with a burn counter, its attack is halved. Also, your opponent takes 500 damage during each of their end phases that it has a burn counter on it. So there you go. If a monster has a paralysis counter on it, it cannot attack directly. Also, if that monster would declare an attack, your opponent must toss a coin and call it. If they call it right, the attack continues. If they call it wrong, it cannot attack during this battle phase. If a monster has a frozen counter, it cannot declare an attack or activate its effect as long as it has a frozen counter. You must remove that frozen counter during your opponent's second battle phase after this effect was activated. If an opponent's monster has a sleep counter on it, you roll a 6-sided die, its defense is halved, and they cannot declare an attack or change their battle positions as long as it has a sleep counter. During the standby phase of the nth turn after this effect's activation, remove that sleep counter from it, and equals the result. So if you roll a 6-sided die and you roll a 6, that Pokemon stays asleep for 6 turns. So basically it can't attack, it can't change its battle positions as long as it has that sleep counter on it. And then during the 6th standby phase after that effect resolved, that counter is then removed from it and it wakes up. Now it can attack and change its battle positions, and its defense is no longer halved. So it goes back to normal, but that depends on your roll. So if you roll a 1, it'll only stay asleep for 1 turn, and those effects only apply for 1 standby phase. And then finally we have poison counter, which is a very simple one. Monsters with poison counters are destroyed during the end phase. So obviously at the end phase you would lose some HP if a Pokemon is poisoned. So in this case it would just get destroyed during the end phase, but obviously if a Pokemon gets poisoned, because they usually have more HP sometimes, they won't be destroyed, they'll just lose 1 HP, and that's it. So yeah, those are the status counters. That was very important to explain because a lot of Pokemons will end up having effects that place these types of counters on an opponent's monster, so that's very important for you guys to know now. Okay, so in the next video I'm going to reveal to you guys some of the Pokemons, but I'm not going to tease you guys. I will show you guys the Charmander line for this video, and then in the next video I'll show you guys the rest of the cancel starters along with the first 9 Pokemon of the Pokedex. basically Pokemon's 1 through 12. That's for the next video. But before I show you guys the Charmander line, I have to show you guys a very important spell card. So this spell card is called Evolution. It's a quick play spell card. It says target one Pokemon you control. Evolution summon one Pokemon with a higher level from your hand or deck that is listed in that targeted monster's text. So keep this card in mind when you listen to me talk about the effects of Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. So we're going to hop right into it. So the first Pokemon I'm going to reveal to you is starter Pokemon Charmander. It's a fire reptile type, level 4, 1700 attack, 1500 defense, and 1 HP. During your standby phase, you can evolution summon one Pokemon Charmeleon from your hand using this card. So it's very simple, very straightforward. You guys already know how the HP works. He has 1 HP, which means you just need to kill him once in order for him to actually die. Next up, we have starter Pokemon Charmeleon. So this is a fire reptile, level 6, 2200 attack, 1900 defense with 1 HP. Must first be evolution summoned from your hand by evolving a face-up Charmander you control or with evolution. So you guys already saw the evolution quick play spell card, so you could either evolution summon it from the hand or with that spell card. Then its next effect is, during your standby phase, you can evolution summon one starter Pokemon Charizard from your hand or deck using this card, so it still keeps that effect where during the next standby phase you can evolve it. But obviously if you have the evolution spell card, you could just evolve it right away. So, and it's a quick play too, so you could do it during your opponent's turn. So it's very strong. Next up, if this evolution summoned card attacks while its HP is 1, you can make this card gain 600 attack during damage calculation only. So this is supposed to reflect the Blaze ability in the game. In the game, when your HP is really low, all your fire type moves gain a certain power boost, I think by 1.5 times or whatever. So I converted that into a Yu-Gi-Oh effect. If this evolution summoned card attacks while its HP is 1, basically if it's at its lowest HP, you can make this card gain 600 attack during damage calculation only. But this only works if it was evolution summoned, so you can't send this card to the graveyard or tribute summon for it, because it will only have 1 HP, and the power boost won't work because it needs to be evolution summoned in order to activate that effect. So keep that in mind. Next up, we have the final evolution of the Charmander line. We have starter Pokemon Charizard. It's a fire reptile type, level 8, 3000 attack, 2400 defense with 1 HP. This card is also treated as a wind monster since it's a flying type in the game as well. It's also treated as a wind, so that means future support that have to do with wind will work with Charizard. Must first be evolution summoned from your hand by evolving a face-up starter Pokemon Charmeleon you control or with evolution before it could be special summoned from the graveyard. At the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster that does not have a burn counter, roll a 6-sided die. If the result is a 1 or a 6, place 1 burn counter on it. While Sunny Day is face up on the field, this card gains 800 attack. If this evolution summoned card attacks while its HP is 1, you can make this card gain 1200 attack during damage calculation only. So, how I created effects for each of the Pokemons, usually the final evolutions, is what I did. I kept either one or both of the abilities from the game and then added one of the moves that it learns through level up, or I added 2 of the moves through level up and then 1 ability from the game. So for Charizard, what I did was I added Flamethrower. Flamethrower's effect is it has a chance to burn the target after it attacked it. So that's why its second effect is at the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster that does not have a burn counter, so you can't stack the burn counters, you can only have 1. You roll a 6-sided die. If you roll a 1 or a 6 by chance, you place a burn counter on it if you call it right. And then, as you guys already know from the burn counter, it cuts the monster's attack in half, and your opponent takes 500 damage during each of the end phase while it has a burn counter. So you guys already know that. So that copies, that's basically the Flamethrower effect. And then its ability called Solar Power in the game, where if it's sunny outside, all fire type moves are boosted. So what I did was, if Sunny Day is face up on the field, Sunny Day will be a field spell that I'll reveal to you guys later. This card will gain 800 attack points. So only while the field spell's on the field, he'll gain 800, so he'll be 3800, which is very powerful. If this evolution summoned card attacks while its HP is 1, so like I said, this will reflect its Blaze ability, only except he'll gain 1200 instead of 600. and that's pretty much it. So if you have the field spell on the field, he'll be at 38, and then if your HP is 1 or below after it's been evolution summoned, he'll also gain 1200, so that'll be 5000 attack points, which is pretty crazy, and that's not even added onto the boost that you'll gain from the field spell itself. So you'll be even higher. So he's a very kind of power focused boss monster, so he's really cool. That's basically all I'm going to show you guys for today in terms of Pokemon, because in the next video I'm just going to reveal to you the first 12 Pokemon of the Kanto Dex for you guys, and then after that I'm going to reveal to you guys the legendaries of the Kanto region before I reveal the rest of the Pokemon. And then what I want to do is I want to reveal the first 12 Pokemon of every single region first, and then the legendaries of each of those regions first, before I go backwards and do the rest of the Kanto Pokemon and the rest of the Johto Pokemon and the rest of the, you know, Hoenn Pokemon and so forth and so on. So that's how I want to do it, because I don't want to just do all the Kanto ones first. I want to give everybody a little bit of each region so they could try it out and play around with it and have some fun. And then, you know, and obviously the legends too, so they could play around with that too. I'm also going to be revealing a bunch of new spell cards and support cards for the Pokemon Archetype, you know, all the Pokeballs, different attack spells, trap cards and stuff like that. Just a bunch of different cards that I'm going to be revealing in the future for this new Archetype. I have a lot of stuff, guys, a lot of stuff. I've been working on it for many months. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of how I converted the effects and everything? What do you think of evolution summoning, the HP mechanic, the status counters, all that stuff? Just let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? What would you do to change it? This is going to stay the same, but if you guys give me ideas that could help, I'll consider it. Don't take it offensively if I don't take your idea. I like the way this is set up, but if you guys do end up having tips that could make it better, I might consider like fixing it up, because I do want this to be polished and defined. But this is my idea of how I made Pokemon work in Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. God bless you guys. See you guys in the next video. Gotcha.